Ever find yourself caught in the grip of a mood swing that seems to come out of nowhere, leaving you questioning what went wrong? What if I told you those emotional highs and lows aren't entirely your fault? What if your brain and body are just responding to forces beyond your immediate control, and you're not the one to blame for feeling overwhelmed or off-kilter? The truth is, what you're experiencing might be rooted in deeper, hidden patterns that aren't as personal as you think. So, are you ready to stop blaming yourself and start understanding what's really at play? The answer could change everything. If you're truly committed to your personal growth, now's the perfect moment to take action. Subscribe to our channel Motivation Basics and like this video if you're committed to improve every day. Don't keep this to yourself and share it with someone who's ready to break through their own barriers today. Let's stop talking and start doing this together. There may seem to be no escape route when times get rough, but how you carry yourself could make all the difference. Always keep in mind that you have the capacity to learn and adapt from any challenge you face. Visualize instead that you may use your challenges to uncover who you really are. We can see that in every challenge, there is an opportunity for growth, thanks to this new viewpoint. Here we will delve into the ways in which conquering life's challenges can bring about an inner sense of contentment and calm. When you acknowledge that life is tough, the difficulties you face will appear less daunting. A person's internal strife and belief that things shouldn't be this way often give rise to the most major issues. Things become less daunting when one cultivates a surrendering relationship with the present moment. You can maintain your integrity even when chaos ensues. There is a subtle calmness that is ever present. No matter what occurs, this core will not change. Happiness or tranquility rests on a foundation of calmness that goes beyond material worries. In his book, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle speaks to this concept of the present moment as the key to unlocking peace. He writes, "Realize deeply that the present moment is all you have. Make the now the primary focus of your life. By focusing on the present moment, we free ourselves from unnecessary worry about the past or future, which often contributes to emotional turbulence. This shift in perspective allows us to remain grounded, even when the world around us seems chaotic. No matter how big or tiny the obstacle, you must persist through it. Every day brings new, small challenges, but you learn to keep your cool when things don't go as planned. As you learn to manage the unpredictable behavior of other people, you become better at controlling your own emotions. Instead of wishing things were different, you can learn to accept them and move on with ease when life throws you curveballs. No vacation is worth ruining because of bad weather, and no one loves dealing with cancelled flights. Illness can strike at any time, though, and time keeps ticking. Our bodies experience the effects of mental and emotional stress in the same way that our thoughts do. One cannot turn a blind eye to the correlation between mental and physical well-being. Eckhart Tolle's teachings remind us that we can transcend emotional turbulence through the acceptance of the present moment. He often discusses how we are so often identified with our thoughts, and as a result, we suffer unnecessarily. In A New Earth, he writes, "The primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation, but your thoughts about it. By challenging our habitual thought patterns and embracing the present, we shift our experience from one of suffering to one of acceptance and peace. This isn't about avoiding difficulties, but learning to respond to them in a grounded and conscious way. Unveiling diamonds concealed beneath life's tumult awaits you. When you're prepared to peel back the layers of your perseverance, consider instead how your struggles serve as a stage upon which the magnificent creation that will emerge will stand. As we journey together over this challenging terrain, you may realize that every obstacle is actually a signpost leading you to a greater self-awareness. Do you think you can overcome this obstacle and learn to appreciate hardship for what it is? A test of your character. Tolle's philosophy encourages us to see challenges as opportunities for spiritual growth. He says, "The pain you create now is always some form of non-acceptance, some form of unconscious resistance to what is This resistance is often what causes emotional fluctuations, as we resist the inevitable flow of life. When we stop resisting and instead allow life to unfold, we begin to tap into a deeper level of inner peace. The road to healing lies in our ability to accept what is without fighting against it. If your emotional and physical well-being are not strong, you are more prone to illness. Of course, your physical self reactions reflect your emotional state. Traditional medical methods are also beginning to recognize the connection between a person's physical health and their emotional and mental wellness. You are more likely to get sick if your mental and emotional health are in disarray. Because a lot of things may go wrong and make people sick, it's impossible to claim, "I'm never going to be sick." Just like an old automobile, a human body has a limited lifespan before it starts to show signs of wear and tear. Over time, your vehicle will progressively require more maintenance until it finally fails entirely. This connection between emotional and physical well-being is a central concept in Eckhart Tolle's teachings. He notes that our bodies hold the tension of our mental state, and when we are identified with stress and anxiety, our physical health can deteriorate as well. In The Power of Now, he writes, "The body is a mirror of the mind. Your body will give you signs of your emotional state long before you are consciously aware of them. By learning to release mental stress and emotional tension, we allow our bodies to return to balance and health. This internal awareness is the first step in preventing illness and promoting well-being. When you accept that setbacks are necessary to shake you from your complacency, you'll find it much easier to endure them. This issue has been ongoing for quite some time. People typically experience pain when they face difficulties, and this agony might last for a long period. That every person has a spiritual guide is something I say frequently. In the end, it is through adversity that most people on earth achieve enlightenment. Therefore, they see their pain as a spiritual teacher. Only individuals who have made it this far, through so much hardship, will be able to access a real spiritual tradition, an actual spiritual tradition, an actual spiritual teacher, or even a book. With the speed of light, they exclaim, "Oh wow, yes," in response to the acceleration of evolution. As Tolle explains, pain and hardship can serve as spiritual catalysts. In A New Earth, he asserts, the pain that you create now is always some form of non-acceptance, some form of unconscious resistance to what is. It is through accepting the present moment, rather than resisting it, that we learn to grow spiritually. Pain becomes a teacher when we shift our perspective, recognizing that it is through this very discomfort that we evolve and awaken to a higher consciousness. The maturation of awareness proceeds at a glacial rate in the absence of this speed boost. Many people still don't understand evolution and its twisted path. That is why we keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Do powerful individuals and their ilk not have any historical knowledge? It only takes a recollection of an event that occurred 50 years ago to perpetuate the same error. Rewinding the clock 40 years will just lead us to rehash the same old story. What wonderful news! You will all reach a point when acceleration begins. It's an inevitable consequence of karma. In this process of spiritual awakening, Tolle speaks to the acceleration of our consciousness. He reminds us that our awareness grows as we let go of the past and stop identifying with the ego. He writes, "You are not your mind. When we can detach from our thoughts, we free ourselves from the repetitive cycles of past mistakes and suffering. The acceleration of consciousness happens when we release the need to control and simply allow ourselves to be present. Take it as a challenge in whichever shape it may take. Difficulty increases if unrelated thoughts start to entangle your mind. Whenever you're faced with a problem, the best course of action is usually to just decide. Do something or do nothing. What choices do we have at this time? The next logical step is to prioritize the tasks that are most important right now. Your magnetic presence has the power to motivate others to take action. It is critical to evaluate the circumstance before doing anything driven by presence. Bring your whole sensory awareness to bear on the issue at hand. When we are alone with ourselves, we are able to tap into our intrinsic intelligence. In The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle teaches the power of presence in every moment. The now is the key to unlocking the present, he writes. By remaining present and aware, we respond to life's challenges with clarity and focus, rather than being swept away by our emotions. It is through this awareness that we connect to our innate wisdom, allowing us to make decisions that are in alignment with our true self. You won't need to think about the problem if you just stare at it when it comes. Being vigilant and facing it head on is all that's needed. The time it takes could be anywhere from a few seconds to 2 minutes. However, in many cases, a brief period of focused attention is all that is required. Possibilities to accomplish your goals will present themselves once you do that. Reacting to a circumstance or accepting that you are powerless in the present moment are both completely acceptable responses. Because of this, you have no choice but to accept it and stay attached. There will be moments of clarity and focus on what matters most, even in the midst of hardship. Learn the definition of so you can find it easily. You may attract more of what makes you happy when you accept reality as it is. Tolle's teachings encourage us to face each situation as it arises, without excessive thought or fear. By simply being present and accepting the moment, we free ourselves from the emotional turmoil that often accompanies challenges. Accept, then act, he writes, reminding us that peace comes through acceptance and clarity comes through stillness. A never-ending cycle of denial and opposition sustains that which is egoless. When it comes to egoists, nothing is permissible. It usually goes against the current trend unless there are extremely extraordinary circumstances. When you accept things as they are and acknowledge that there's no way things could be different, you open yourself up to the possibility that they could be. The answer can't be no. The answer can't be no, even if it ought to be, since it is. This precise second has been orchestrated by every force in the universe, both ancient and modern. Everything impacts the whole because everything is interrelated. Since the Big Bang and beyond, every particle in the cosmos has played a role in this event. As Tolle beautifully reminds us, everything is interconnected. The present moment is the only thing that ever exists, he writes. By accepting what is and recognizing our place in the larger picture, we begin to align with the flow of life itself. In this space of acceptance, we discover the power to transform our experiences and embrace the beauty of the present moment. The outcome is this. Yes, you can take action if all other choices have been tried and failed. To begin to change something, one must first acknowledge that it is already in a certain state. As Eckhart Tolle points out in The Power of Now, the past has no power over the present moment. Attempting to see potential is the second step. Either do anything, if at all feasible, or admit defeat. Moving ahead is not an option. After that, you'll be able to release the internal circumstance once you surrender. What brings joy in that state of submission or acceptance is not the fact that things are going well, even if they aren't at the moment, but rather the union with life's ultimate source. This deep inner acceptance, what Tolle refers to as the stillness of the present moment, is what gives us peace. On top of that, it fits snugly. Hey, if you're ever in a bind, it's totally fine. The lesson we learned the hard way is that ignoring or wishing problems away won't get you anywhere. They present opportunities for learning, connection, and growth. Instead of resisting them, you should welcome them. This echoes Tolle's wisdom in A New Earth. Whatever you think the world is withholding from you, you are withholding from the world. Although it may have seemed like an addiction at first, relying too much on other people's approval is actually just the natural outcome of a higher power's influence on our life. By letting go of the ego's need for approval, this insight encourages one to be fully present in the here and now. In order to find true happiness, and contentment within. It is essential to realize that allowing oneself to be accepted is the first step. I would be deeply appreciative if you could subscribe, like, and share this tour if you found the information helpful. As we all strive for a fuller, more self-aware life, let us work together to disseminate this message and discover the universal truths that bind us. The degree to which an individual is self-aware is shown by their actions and words at any given moment. In your occasional encounters with people, you will likely encounter people in a wide range of states of consciousness. 2, 3, or even more modalities of consciousness can be used to recognize familiar faces, whether they are friends or family. You might be cognizant of the fact that you never know who might descend the stairs if you eat breakfast with your roommate or family every morning. Someone who is outgoing and positive 1 minute could turn around and ask, "Why didn't you do this?" As they sulked down the stairs, "It was my mistake. I ought to have suspected sooner." That has occupied my thoughts exclusively throughout the night. Oh my, it's terrible. It also appears to be your strong suit. Say who you are. Even though I have no idea who will show up tomorrow, at least that one person this morning was really optimistic and cheerful. Their mood swings can be quite dramatic when they're talking with folks who are mostly unconscious. Multiple characters, each having their own distinct personality that will surface at different points in time, are involved rather than just one. People who haven't figured out how to be fully present yet are the ones I'm referring to when I say they lack a strong sense of self. As Eckhart Tolle writes in The Power of Now, when you lose touch with inner stillness, you lose touch with yourself. Anytime you have a conversation with another person, one of your many selves may emerge and say, "All right, I'm now very clear in my mind what I want. What I did yesterday and the day before that, what I did yesterday and the day before that will never happen again. Everything is very clear now that I've had my epiphany." He is convinced he is in a slightly altered state of consciousness. Everything is as bad as it was before, if not worse after what feels like an eternity. You proceed to accuse him of being untrustworthy. "Damn it, I was told a lie. I was told a lie. I will not do that again," he declared, establishing his claim. "His deceit caused me to lose faith. He had my trust. I began to trust him again after our lengthy conversation. Who knows what he did after that? Since the victim is often unconscious, it's likely that he either repeated the action, or worse, was unaware that he had committed it. A person's emotional state and mental processes can be influenced by their sub-personalities, which are simply patterns of thought. They assume control of that person by exchanging their virtual presence with another one. Looks don't always tell the story. That individual wasn't the same. There are a lot of people involved. The manifestation of your own delusions could be triggered even by making general assumptions. Are you kidding me? Trusting others isn't always easy. I learned that the hard way. You can sense the dishonesty in the air as one of their subpersonalities takes over. Suddenly, keep in mind that most people are completely controlled by emotional and mental conditioning, even though this may be true for most people. Some types of conditioning may emerge and temporarily dominate a person's behavior. Sometimes, right before the next wave of conditioning completely engulfs a person, they have a moment of clarity. Tolle encourages us to recognize that these mental patterns are not who we are. They are simply the ego in action, something that keeps us from being present and truly experiencing life. One of the keys to enjoying other people's company is realizing that they are nothing more than reflections of your own current moment. Besides being in this very instant, they have no control over anything outside of their awareness. However, you need to come to terms with who you are. Could you please clarify what you mean? You bring up the idea of awareness. You got haughty and started arguing. That's what haughty and started arguing. That's what happened. The outcome is always unpredictable. Yes, it is challenging to deal with your mind. I understand. People can be quite bothersome at times. Yes, I do think that there may be challenging moments. Things get a lot easier as you figure out how to stop thinking negatively. There will be a world of difference when you learn to let go of your critical thinking and accept things exactly as they are. It spins enormous tales about places, people, and things in both the past and the future. Anxious, regretful, or worrisome thoughts are not necessary in the face of life's challenges. These can be resolved without delay. In his The Power of Now, Tolle speaks about the importance of stepping into the present moment. Realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. This realization frees us from burdens of regret and anxiety. Then there is the actual world. As you experience a spiritual awakening, you will be able to break free from destructive mental patterns. Yes, this is the main reason we're all here. Once a mental illness is conquered, it becomes much simpler to deal with life's challenges. You wouldn't believe it, but they're actually pretty simple. They are right there, waiting for you to notice them. True brilliance may only be attained when you are able to temporarily detach from your ideas and rise above them. Getting up and assessing the situation should be your next step. You're more than capable of handling it. You can attempt the action again if it doesn't work. Otherwise, everything ought to be okay. In my opinion, it is life itself. As Tolle emphasizes in A New Earth, awareness is the greatest agent for change. By observing and detaching from your thoughts, you unlock a greater sense of peace and clarity. Eliminating the sick mindset makes things much easier. When you give yourself to the here and now, your sick thoughts will eventually depart. Both internal and external forces might act as roadblocks. No matter how far you get from your own ideas, it will always be a big obstacle. The fact that other obstacles persist is something I can get behind. However, you shouldn't wait for disaster to hit before taking action. Being fully present is great when it occurs, but it's important even when no one is trying to test you. We simply must not overlook that. The universe will keep spinning and the all-seeing mind will say, "Oh, this person needs more problems. Therefore, nothing will alter." In such cases, he is likely to be fast asleep. He should get a couple more from us. When we delve into the intriguing realm of human awareness, we become aware of how our thoughts, actions, and emotions impact our lives and the relationships we're a part of. The opportunities and threats that come with change teach us a lot about ourselves and others around us. The next time you see someone who appears off-kilter, pause for a second and ask yourself what part of their story is surfacing right now. We may change our interactions by forming stronger bonds and cultivating empathy once we realize this. Tolle teaches us that true compassion arises from the realization that all people are interconnected in the present moment. When you become aware of the stillness that you are, it is no longer about me or you. It is about the recognition of the oneness of all life. Stop wasting time and make every moment count in your life. Subscribe to Motivation Basics for daily motivational videos on personal growth. Show your commitment by liking the video and commenting the word "grow." Be sure to share it with someone who needs to slow down in life. We're in this together.